You don't go to market. You don't go talk to any advertising partner. You don't talk to your video people. You don't talk to your website people until you have this plan in hand. Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm here with Caleb, the integrator, AG. Caleb is the integrator of Frank and Maven and all things in life.
I like that it's greater in the middle.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just kidding. I don't know why.
Into
I was trying to think
greater?
He doesn't tell me these things before we start, so I never know how to react or respond to those.
Part of what we do around here. Hey, if you haven't read Rocket Fuel, and you are leading a business with another person, and I think you should be, you need to read that book.
Yes, you should.
It will save your business from a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
And type in integrator. Send us an email to mavenmonday@frankandmaven.com, and we'll send you a copy for the first person who does that.
Bring it on.
Rocket Fuel. Type in integrator in the subject line. Sorry.
Yeah, just type it somewhere on your computer and see what happens.
Love it. We love to give away books around here,
yes.
Making the world more smarter.
Leaders are readers.
Hey, last week we started our How to Make a Marketing Plan for 2025, and we talked all about strategy, and it was slow and methodical, and you're going, yeah, but where's the marketing part? Go back and listen to that episode, please, before you devour this one. It is very, very important, but it is sort of like the slow down before you speed up, or slow down to speed up episode.
Yeah.
And if you have those things right from the strategy exercise last week, everything else in your marketing plan falls into place.
That's right.
Because you know who you're supposed to be doing business with. You know how you're uniquely positioned. You can align everything from your vision as a leader or your leadership team all the way down through your message and what you should be saying for maximum impact, and all the way down to the media. And when you get those things aligned, that is when maximum profit happens in a marketing plan.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest bad wolf of all, like, waste in marketing. We talk about how we help you eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business, and achieve the big dream. The biggest reason that doesn't happen is because of alignment.
Yes.
You are
splitting your votes,
showing up in some way that is either incongruent with how you act and view and best serve the world, or you're saying something that isn't true in communicating that well.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to use a media that is not capable of transferring that message.
That's right.
And that will become even more clear with this episode and next week's episode.
Yeah.
Today, the second part of any great marketing plan is messaging.
That's right. We are going to build this message together. And by the way, just as a reminder, in case you haven't listened to the last week's episode, we are building this for our fake imaginary company.
But not so fake.
But not so fake. We have some profiles of actually companies like this in several states.
Steve and Sarah have a window company in Springfield, Missouri.
Yep. And we're calling it Best Window Company of Springfield. So we did get one question last week I think that's important to dig into, because last week we talked about, in the strategies section, we talked about vision, which is the world you're trying to create; values, which is what you stand for and against; vows, what are you going to do about your convictions; and then we set business objectives.
Yes.
And so one thing before we get to the question is, when you have a vision, values, and vows, when those are set, next year, your job is not to recreate them. Your job is to reassess them. And we're not throwing those out every single year in our marketing strategy.
Unless you're starting a new company.
Unless you started
making a large strategy shift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so it's like, are these still the truth, the foundation of what we believe? Yes. Okay. Then we move to business objectives, and maybe it won't take as long next year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. We added to ours and took some away, but we never changed our big idea about vision, values, and vows.
That's right. The question we got was, how important is understanding the ideal customer in the strategy phase? So what we talked about last week. Is it important now in strategy, or is it only relevant in planning, messaging, and media?
Yes.
And
great question.
You want to take that?
Great question. I think we can both add to this, but it's kind of yes and no. Is it important? Yes, because that person you're supposed to be serving isn't a matter of, like, ooh, who can I go sell more stuff to? Like in a holistic world, in a marketing plan that is driven by who you actually want to be in the world. It's who are you supposed to be serving? That's what all those vision, values, vows questions are designed to do. It's like, what world are you creating better for somebody?
Yeah.
And then from that world, like your perfect person, like talking about who you're targeting, kind of becomes self-evident and a byproduct of that. And it may be multiple people. It
Yeah.
may be moms who want to spend more times with their daughters, right? And that could be, young moms all the way up to old moms. It may be golfers, people who want to up their golf game. So it could be selected in that point. But in message and media, we're going to get a little bit more specific about how to talk to each of them. So in your strategy section, it's not like you're going, ooh, what's my strategy? Who do I go after? It's like, no, what am I supposed to be doing? What was I put on planet Earth to do for people? How do I view that? How do I solidify my values around that? How do I solidify my promises for when I show up for people?
Yeah, I think I would add to that and say, yes, you have to know who your ideal customer is, because we're talking about how we solve their, needs and pains in our vision statement, right? We have to understand them, but you'll see as we go, especially through this messaging phase, right? We identify them maybe at face value, moms or homeowners or something like that. That's kind of all we say. In messaging, we're going to go much deeper. We're going to talk about who they are from the outside, and then we're going to talk about who they are from the inside.
Oh, yeah.
And so
that's where the magic happens.
When we go from the outside to the inside, we may discover that I think there could be a different label that we would apply to them. And if that's the case, I would say you could maybe still go back, right? You're making this plan all together. It's living, it's breathing. You could go back and say, you know what, a better way to describe them would not be to call them homeowners. It would be to call them people who are in their forever home. Or you could be more specific later once you've identified them better. So yes, it's important. We're going to go deeper today. So look out.
Yeah. So quick reminder, Steve and Sarah had a vision related to helping homeowners make high quality improvements without being pushed or made uncomfortable in their own home.
Yeah.
Their values were all about those things, like your appointments shouldn't take too long. You should never feel uncomfortable. You should always be proud of your home. Those sorts of things. We talked about them last week, and their vows were specific guarantees. Our sales appointments won't last more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We will always buy products made in America, and we will always give you the facts up front and specific promises. But we're going to turn those convictions, those vision, values, vows, into the messaging components, of which all ads, in which all website copy, in which all direct mail, hopefully which all sales scripts, hopefully which all phone answering scripts flow from.
Yeah.
And it's like when you have this alignment and every point along the way, because there are people who are not buying today, but they're going to start hearing things about you. When that aligns with the same things they see on their website when they dip their toe in and start shopping, with the same experience they get on the phone, with the same experience they get at the salesperson, with the same experience they get with the customer service, with the same experience they get with the installation or practitioner. When all those things align, then you become like 5 times more powerful in your messaging.
That's right.
And it sends ripple effects and shockwaves through your market.
Yeah.
That's how Steve and Sarah, or the clients behind Steve and Sarah, that's how they are, growing a little bit, and then just start doubling and tripling in size.
Yep.
And that's how they're getting stinking rich.
That's how you're going to do it too. So
you're going to get stinking rich.
The way we'll explain this as we get into the messaging phase, we're building your brand's message. This is a marketing plan. So think, overall holistic, high level brand messaging.
Yes.
And specifically related to the convictions, the values, the vows that we have. And so, you're going to notice we're going to show you how these can play out in ads, but we're not writing ads today. What we're doing is developing our brand's messaging, our phraseology.
So ideally, you don't go to market. You don't go talk to any advertising partner. You don't talk to your video people. You don't talk to your website people until you have this plan in hand.
That's right.
Strategy from last week, message from this week, and media from next week.
Yeah, in a lot of agencies, they have what they call a client brief.
Client brief, yeah.
We do it in the form of this Maven method marketing plan, and that the messaging portion that we're going to talk about today is the bulk of it. So
how do you do messaging?
There are 4 questions we need to answer to build our message. Number 1, who are you talking to? Number 2, what are the needs, pains, hopes, and fears that you're addressing? 3, how can my vision, values, and vows satisfy these? And 4, what is the most reasonable next step for action?
You'd be shocked how simple that sounds, but yet how many people miss one of those steps.
Yes.
Most people start with kind of the question we got this week is, who do I need to target? And that's the key to like making all success. And it is part of it.
Yes.
And good on anybody for thinking that. But what we fail to realize is it's not about who we're targeting, it's about what we're saying. When we're saying the right thing, the natural, perfect customer attracts themselves to us.
Yes.
It's not, human beings. You are not a human being that just walks around waiting to be programmed to somebody's business.
Mm-hmm.
You are a human being with your own needs, pains, hopes, and fears. That's what we boil that down to. With your own agenda, with your own experiences, with your own view of the world. And you're encountering companies that fit within you. It's not the company that goes program this and manipulate somebody.
You relate.
We all know that. That's
you relate
sense.
To what relates to you.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to do. So
that's why vision, values, and values are so important. So, so we're going to do this again through Steve and Sarah's customer base.
Yes.
Sorry, I cut you off.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You got it. Keep going.
Sorry.
Who are we talking to?
Who are we talking to is the most important question. Now, in typical, advertising and, marketing, targeting conversations, it's like demographics and household income and where do they live right now. And that's, and maybe what's their affinity audience, maybe what brands. And that's part of what we're going to do here. But what we're really trying to ask is enough questions to get us in that person's shoes and look through their eyes at the world.
That's
and
right.
to say, what would they be doing in this moment they encounter our product? What else is going on in their life? What are their natural emotions telling them to do about interacting with people? What are the natural times they're doing that? We're going to boil that down to lifestyle. Yes, age, gender, and the basic demographic stuff, but political views. What does the day in their life look like? Where do they shop? What bands do they listen to? What do they do in their free time? What would they rather be doing than listening to this ad right now is what you need to be asking yourself. Who do they admire? What brands do they admire? What's their perfect world? And the ultimate hack, which we're going to get to, is to know this person so well that you could sit across the table with them and have a conversation and be interesting. Now, we do this naturally in our own lives.
We do.
If I go sit down with, Nate, the camera guy, for coffee, I know what Nate's into. I know, we're going to talk about, the bands that I know Nate likes. We're going to talk about the music and the events coming up. We're going to talk about things the what now? The cameras he likes? Yes, that's what I would do. I'm probably not going to talk to Nate very much about, what me and my 8-year-old daughter talk about, right? Nate's not into that. Maybe one day if he has a daughter, we can talk about that, but he isn't right now, right? So now, and you're going, duh, like where's the meat here? The meat is,
if you don't know Nate, you have to ask questions until you find what he knows.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do, is ask these questions to understand the customer, so that we can have this conversation.
Yes.
This imaginary conversation we're having with them.
The best marketing is a conversation that you already anticipate your audience's answers to.
That's right.
And what happens more often than not, especially if you're leaving your marketing to like just internal and buying advertising and letting them, create your message for you. If nobody stopped to do this process, it all becomes about, Mr. Advertiser, what do you want to put in your ad? And you think,
feature.
yeah, I've been in business XYZ amount of years. I've got 5 convenient locations. I've got the best,
the most advanced technology and customer service.
Yeah. And the best customer service and money back guarantees and all that. And those can be good things if you add more to them, but it becomes about who?
Me.
The me show. And you want to make it about the you show. And so to empathetically communicate, we have to know Nate. We have to know the person on the other side of the screen that we are wishing to find significance in this. So if we were Steve and Sarah with their window business that we talked about last week, and we go, who are we talking to? It can be multiple. You can create multiple customer avatars, but this is the most common one for this business. Okay. Yeah. Pete and Janet. Now I just gave them a name up top, but you don't have to give them a name. You want to ask these questions first and then go back and go, who do I know that's like that?
Yeah.
And then probably name them who you already know.
That's right.
It's very easy to write an ad for somebody you've already had a conversation with in real life, and you're just writing to the other ones of those people that exist, right?
Yep.
So tell us about Pete and Janet.
Pete and Janet are between 55 and 65. Obviously, they're male and female,
Mm-hmm.
married. So then we're going to go to location. They live in the suburbs. We're going to go a more established part of town. We'll call it the old money neighborhood.
Now, right there, we arrived at those two 55 to 65. Why not 30-somethings? They're buying homes. Or why not 70-somethings? In this particular business, what we would have found as being their consultants, and we have found this dozens and dozens of times with businesses like this, the people that are making this type of home improvement are in homes that they've been in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that tends to make them on the older end, and homes they plan in staying for a while.
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
And those tend to be on these parts of towns we're talking about.
Yeah.
The new subdivisions for this product don't need new windows. It takes 20 or 30 years for a set of windows to like break and like, be so out of date that they need to be fixed. So 55, 65 location, suburbs, established part of town, old money.
Yeah. Then we're going to get into lifestyle. Now, we have to be a little bit generalizing here because this obviously won't be every single person does every one of these things. No, what we're doing is we're just imagining a person.
Specific.
A very specific person. Where if we have a bland avatar here, we will have bland ads. And so we need a very specific person that we're talking to. So we said they are young grandparents. They're at least their oldest kid, maybe they have a few kids, at least their oldest kid has their first grandchild.
But gosh, Caleb, 3 out of 10 of my last customers weren't grandparents, even though they were 60 years old. Does that mean I'm leaving them out?
Nope.
No, because why?
Because we're going to write strong ads when everyone is listening, or when we write an ad for everyone. I got this. I can do this.
You got it.
When we write an ad for everyone, it's for nobody. But if we write an ad for someone, everyone listens.
It's a psychological thing called the eavesdropper effect.
That's right.
For the same reason you can't ignore a conversation that's happening with a person that you've never met beside you in a coffee shop. You have to listen in. You wonder what's going on there because that's a specific dialogue wired about somebody and there's a story. We're going to do the same thing in our ads. We're going to write to Pete and Janet, but guess what? Lizzie and Izzy are going to hear it too. And Harold and Regina are going to hear it too. And they're same value sets, right?
That's right.
So Lizzie and Izzy. I don't know
we imagine.
It's my elf names.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We imagine their lifestyle to be maybe more upper middle class, right? They're not slumming it by any means, right? A little bit of money, and they've been established in their careers and things like that. So they're traveling a little bit more. They've got a lake house. They enjoy golfing and going to church. So we're going to think about political views. This is in the Midwest. So we would say this person maybe trends more toward the middle, but is going to lean conservative because they're in the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's not making a political statement. You just need to be like, hey,
we're not going to go run ads saying make Windows great again or something like that, although it might work in extreme cases.
Yeah.
We are going to just know that we're talking.
We're just rounding this person out.
It's
point after point after point.
Out. Yep.
Describe a day in their life. So Pete is the CEO of a mid-sized accounting firm. He's worked there for like 20 years, worked his way up, and now he's at the top of his game. And he'll probably retire there in the next 5 to 10 years.
Congratulations, Pete. You've done a good job.
Good job, Pete. Janet is a retired nurse who volunteers at the hospital. She has retired herself a little early, and she's helping out where she can.
Yes.
Sounds great, right? Where do they shop, Brandon?
They shop at Nordstrom's, probably.
Yeah.
Not the high end, not the low end.
Yeah.
They're probably out of the, say nothing against them, but just they're out of maybe the JCPenney phase and they're more in the, a little bit nicer things, but I'm not trying to do a fashion show either.
Probably a combination of being really frugal. That's why they're doing well. They've got a nice house, but then they also believe in valuing that quality, right?
So they're going to buy the Coach purse once in a while. Or maybe there's a Louis in there somewhere.
But they might still order their groceries from Walmart because they're frugal. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a combo of that.
Yeah. Brands that they're going to be, attracted to are going to be your high quality, but just under premium luxury brands probably. So I'm thinking, Toyota, Ford, Lexus, Nike.
Yeah, I picture him driving a big Toyota truck or a Ford truck and
Mhm.
her driving a Lexus RX or something like that, right?
Yep.
Um,
Bass Pro is
Bass
probably
Pro,
a good, like,
especially if they're in this Springfield.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
a Springfield in every
exactly.
state, but this one's got
Yes.
the
So,
Bass Pro.
yeah, so you're thinking like that's the value set. They're not going straight to the highest to like be show offs, but also they value the long term quality of those and the longevity of those brands.
Bands they listen to. Journey.
You know, in this era, yeah, Journey's going to be like a college band sort of thing. Eagles, anything that was popular in that 80s, 90s range.
Yeah.
Today, just observing throughout the Midwest, there's got to be some country in there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Probably your top 40s type things,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a little Tay-Tay, Taylor Swift, or
You never know.
Pink or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and they're gonna start identifying with stuff that their older kids listen to. Their kids that are becoming young adults. That's
Have
maybe
you
their
heard
way of
this?
staying relevant. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who do they admire? We said Dave Ramsey,
Yes.
their pastor, their parents.
Their parents still probably like. There's probably some still. They're not at the peak of like wisdom and like. They're not on the downhill of life yet. They're just, but they still have
the patriarch or matriarch still around, and there's some respect,
or even some aging voices. If it were
Yeah.
to go back the religious route, it would be Billy Graham sort of thing. I
Mhm.
mean, that's we're getting past that a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm just going any voices that are in their community. Now, you go to another part of the country, and it could be other political figures. It could
For
be,
sure.
more pop culture type stuff. It
Mhm.
could be certain actresses. This is going to change for you, but this is just the one we grabbed.
And their perfect world.
Yeah, this is important.
This is
like
the best. Like,
what are
my
they
favorite
trying to make
question.
happen in life? I think it's peace with finances and simplifying things, and they're getting rid of junk, and they are probably thinking about, I don't want a whole lot of change. I want things to stay the same. I want to spend time with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
They may add a vacation home in there or travel a little more, but
Yep.
it's freedom. I'm on the back half of my career. I have some expendable means of doing kind of whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you'd add to that?
No, I think that's it. Just they probably move around to stay as close to the kids as they could.
Yeah.
And if they, if the kids move away, and
I'm looking
still
forward
have
to my
fun.
40s and 50s. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's back up. We just kind of painted a picture of somebody you can probably imagine, no matter who you are. This is either your phase of life, or this is your mom or dad, or this is, an aunt or uncle. You can think of somebody, even not ever knowing this client for us, not ever maybe even marketed this product, and not ever using our process. When you start to write this down, you're like, that seems a little bit like Shelly that I know, and that seems a little bit like Tim,
Yes.
And so, biggest hack of ad writing ever is put that person in your mind and just write stuff that they would dig.
Yeah. We literally, when we have new people training here in ad writing, we fill out a version of this, and they write that person's name at the top of their ad before they start writing.
Yes.
So that you have to remember, I'm writing to Janet, I'm writing to Janet, I'm writing to Janet. And that way, when you start writing that ad, it's really hard to write something that, Janet wouldn't listen to or care about. And you catch yourself because your own writer's bias will show up. You'll write an ad to yourself every time. But if you're not the person you're targeting, that's the miss. So,
And you know what? A bigger hack even is if you can kind of secretly read. You don't want to know that they're analyzing your ad, but if you can kind of secretly get somebody to give you an opinion on this ad, and they're, you can catch them in a non-critical mode, and you just kind of see the reaction. That's helpful confirmation.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've gotten a good picture of who we are speaking to.
Yeah.
To whom we are speaking. Then what do we do?
Yeah. So we take those are really outside features. You could kind of assess most of those things from the outside. Now we're going to go what we would say inside. So what are their needs, pains, hopes, and fears that we're addressing?
Yes.
Needs, pains, hopes, fears.
You can go broad with these. And by the way, we're going to do this. Eventually, you're doing this for 3 different categories. We're not going to talk about specific ad writing today. It's going to be another episode or 2 very, very soon, because that's a huge part of how the rubber meets the road. This is just kind of your messaging angles and what is going to be in the mix that you're putting in the world.
Yeah.
But there's a different sort of angle you might select if it's for a today customer, if you're doing a transactional type thing where it's an offer or a lead gen type thing. If you're building a brand, it's probably more broad and you're talking more to the tomorrow customers. Those needs, pains, hopes, and fears will change a little bit based on where they are in the buying cycle.
That's right.
So I can't just talk all about window features and problems to somebody who I'm trying to win over for, to build my brand and my reputation, because they're not, the vast majority are not buying today.
No.
So I have to talk about things more interesting and broad. Okay.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of examples of how to do that. And of course, we should always be entertaining. But today we're not talking about style or ad copy or, even image style or like how to build a campaign. That is very important. But we're just talking about the basic messaging components. And you want this in a guiding document. In the Maven Marketer, you should get a copy on Amazon. Hardbacks are out, by the way. We have the Satisfying the Customer worksheet.
Yeah.
And you're going to start writing down all the needs your customer has. Just don't think about it too much. Just write down everything that the customer literally needs right now. And then you're going to go through pains and hopes and fears.
Yeah.
What would it look like? Sorry, go ahead. What would it look like?
Yeah, I was going to say needs based on, as related to your product, right?
Yes.
Based on the void your product could fulfill.
Yes. So say somebody's like in your product mode, what do they need? Well, they need a price. It's like, well, no duh, Brandon. It's like, well.
Did you give it to him?
Did you give it to him? Because I can think of a lot of people who all they want is a price, and I can think of a lot of companies who failed to give them the price without a whole bunch of hoopla. So let's just write that down. They need windows that open and close, like with ease. Like a big reason people buy in this category is that their old windows have just stopped functioning, right?
Yep.
They need to stay on budget.
Yes. If you're a business owner, you're going to ask these questions of yourself. If you're an advertiser or a consultant of some kind, or maybe you're a media salesperson, you would be asking these questions and digging deeper. Some of them are pretty obvious and some of them aren't. And so it's good to go through these questions.
Let me talk to my media reps for a second. There's very, very, very little in the media selling world that suggests you should be the one writing the ads. If you want long-standing clients that spend more with you and you want to grow companies, you need to write at least the basics of the ad. You may be able to find somebody who's more whimsical or talented than you at like making the creative things happen.
Yeah.
But the worst thing you can do, I repeat, the worst thing you can do is go sell the media and then hand off the message to somebody who has not spent the time asking and analyzing this question.
You met with that client, you understand their business, and that guy or gal at the station that pumps out 20 ads a day has never met them before, and they get a bullet point sheet of features of that company. Yeah. It's begging to be a bad ad. So you are going to do this instead and uncover the actual needs of this customer.
Or it's a whiz kid digital marketing guru that just starts pounding in, phrases in your your Google ads that say best price guarantee or, click today to save and stuff like that. That isn't, it's cliche at best. But the most important thing is it's not in line with who you are and how you want to sell, and probably not even what your customer wanted to hear.
That's right.
So you're going to get this brief down. We talked about needs, just literally what are the product needs. What are the pains?
Pains. As it relates to Windows, high utility bills. When they have a draft leakiness, that's a big pain that I can feel. Sometimes
can be energy efficiency or just comfort.
Sometimes also people don't know of the pain. So you may have to make them aware of the pain they also have. So it's like, hey, your utility bill's high. Oh yes, it is. That's painful.
A lot of people didn't know that they had a pain with their chef's knife to chop all of their salad and vegetables. But the folks that came out with the salad chopper brought that pain to life. Aren't you tired of washing your knife? I can hear the infomercial now. And spending hours chopping vegetables, this lap chopper makes it happen in 38 seconds, right?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily just what the customer is saying their pain is. You are also helping understand their pain.
One we use in the window business a lot is the last place, you should be cold is in your own home. You should never be uncomfortable in your own home. And aren't you tired of that drafty breeze trying to, take away your date night on the couch, things like that, and everybody can start to go, oh yeah, that is awful.
Yep.
Now most people are aware of their high utility bills or whatever, but point is they may not be thinking about it the second of this ad, so you have to bring it to surface.
Yep.
Ugly curb appeal.
Yeah. Ugly old windows.
Mm-hmm.
They may be hazy, right?
Yep.
The seal breaks and then some moisture gets in, starts to rust the edges. Not good.
Mm-hmm.
Looks ugly.
Yeah. And windows that won't open, we talked about that again. Maybe they weren't aware of how much they were missing out on life when they aren't able to open up the window and let in a spring breeze, but you can bring that to surface.
That's
and say,
right.
Wouldn't it be nice to let in some of this beautiful, Ozarks air around here? Or if I'm in Kentucky, some Kentucky air, a Georgia spring breeze or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going, yeah, that would be nice.
That
okay.
would be nice. Yep.
But you can't because your windows are stuck shut. And that's a lot of homes that are in this area that they just don't function anymore and they're not easy to open. Now, quick thing. Did you know, as far as pains, did you know that toothpaste and brushing your teeth was a product literally created out of thin air by an advertising guy?
I mean, I didn't know that.
You did know that.
Should I pretend like I shouldn't know that?
Yeah. Claude Hopkins talks about it in his book, The Power of Habit. Or Claude Hopkins was the ad guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to link to that story here, but basically they said, ladies, drag your tongue across the front of your teeth. Do you feel that slimy little film? It's robbing you of your beauty, and it's making, all of the good things you want to have happen as a beautiful woman go away from you because you've got scum on your teeth. And it's like, and then the solution was, I think it was Sensodyne or Pepsodent, one of the two. That was the solution to a problem they didn't know existed, and now everybody in the world uses it, right?
Yep.
So that's just a little example. So we talked about needs and pains. Again, we're writing them down in our satisfying the customer worksheet.
Yep.
Hopes and fears. Let's go to hopes.
Hopes are more long-term aspirations. So thinking about they hope to get compliments from friends, social status, esteem from others, right? That's important. They hope that they have a house they feel proud of. We talked about they could stay in this for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure that they're happy with it.
That's the hopes of the ideal customer. Are there hopes outside of this that exist for windows?
Sure.
Does somebody hope to get the cheapest price?
Yeah.
Do we want to talk to that person?
Not
if you're Steve and Sarah.
Yep.
There are people that have hopes of, getting this stupid window fixed so they can sell the home. Is that the most ideal customer?
Nope.
So we're also doing some self-selecting and self-opting out and repelling of the customer, because the person who just wants the cheapest deal is going to see this ad and go, that's probably not the company for me, and that's good. They would have wasted your time, right? They want more home value. They want to know they're making the right choice.
That's right.
So all of these things are going to be ingredients we're going to start putting in our ads. And let's talk about fears, a very powerful ingredient.
Yes, fear is scary. This is what they don't want to lose. So they are afraid of being ripped off and spending way too much money on this.
Being pushed around and high pressured in their home, causing damage to your home. The idea of somebody coming in and,
messing up,
cutting out your windows is pretty daunting, or your roof or your HVAC system.
Yeah.
And so these are things you can speak to and make them go away as objections to buying from you or your client.
Even a difficult install process. I'd be afraid of how long's there going to be a big hole in the side of my house.
Yes.
How long are you going to have workers walking through my house? All these things are fears they would have.
Yes.
Now, what do we do with all of those?
Okay, we're going to put them away and never use them again.
Exactly.
No, says I.
Done.
That's what a lot of people are going to do, but you are going to take them and make sure that this is a guiding document, and you don't ever write an ad that doesn't at least have one of these in here. And then you're going to take it to the next step about satisfying those needs, pains, hopes, and fears, or what we call voids.
That's right.
Now, I skipped over something just there. The reason you want this in your hand, you want to use this as like your checklist, because what's going to happen is you're going to start. Is there anybody right now that has a need, pain, hope, or fear related to how many years you've been in business?
No.
Not as such,
Not at all.
right? That may come in the next step, but if you say, we've been in business 50 years, it's like the customer's going, that didn't have anything to do with what I'm actually feeling. I wasn't sitting around waiting to go, oh gosh, I've been waiting for a company who's been in business for 17 years, or that has 482 years of combined experience. That's a really common sin amongst ad writers. I'll argue they don't even really care at this point. It's not core need, pain, hope, or fear that you have 300 reviews, 5-star or 4.8 stars or whatever. Now, that is something you can use in here to satisfy those, but that's not in and of itself. And usually what happens is we throw the feature at the ad instead of the void. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're starting with what's going on there, needs, pains, hopes, fears. And then right next to those, we're going back to those vows that we had, our promises, our values, and sometimes it's just plain old features that do end up here. But so if they need pricing, that was one of our first needs. I'm going needs, pricing, and how do we satisfy that? Well, we're one of the few companies that agree to give pricing over the phone.
Boom.
You don't have to go through a whole rigmarole to get pricing from us.
Do you see how quickly that could turn into an ad? That's not what we're making today, but do you see how fast?
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. And that one in particular in home improvement is a big one because everybody's scared to make that first call because they're scared to be presented with something that's too expensive and they're embarrassed to have to say no. Right? How about windows that open? How do I know my windows are going to keep opening? Well, because our products are made in America and we have a 30-year guaranteed warranty.
That's right.
Or a lifetime warranty. Like we will fix them and replace all the bearings and the components. If they break, we can do that because we work with American businesses that we have predictability on, right? That's an ad. That's a need and a vow that satisfied it, right?
Yep.
Let's go down to pains, high utility bills.
Yeah.
Here's a study and a NFRC label on our windows that say you're going to save up to 40% on your energy bills by installing these.
Yeah.
We associate the Energy Star label with confidence that's going to happen, but most people would go, we have Energy Star rated windows. But what you should do instead is say, are you tired of high energy bills? I empathize with you. Our windows have the lowest, energy waste rating possible according to NFRC label. And that means you're going to save up to 40% on your windows. See how I paired those two things there? Drafty windows. We could talk about the quality of our installation.
Yeah.
Most people just rip out your old windows.
Yeah. I think one of our we believe statements was we believe a window is only as good as the person who installed it.
Exactly. And so we've done all this work up here. That's who Steve is. He exists in the world. He believes that with everything in him. And so that's why they hire high quality installers and they have a proprietary, Steve and Sarah do, a way of installing windows that puts extra foam around it and does like a total heat check, right? So you're telling this story stronger already just by bringing the pain, need, hope, or fear to surface and immediately satisfying it with something else. A lot of ads do one or the other, but not both. And you want to make sure you're doing both.
Yeah.
Anything else to add there?
Yeah, we say this thing around here a lot, which is people don't buy a 1/2-inch drill bit. They're buying a 1/2-inch hole.
Yeah.
And if you want to go one layer deeper, they're probably buying the connection between two pieces of wood, right?
Yes.
It's not even, or a 1/2-inch drill bit is kind of a terrible example because you'd never hang something from the wall with a 1/2-inch drill bit. But you get what I'm saying. You're not buying a drill bit. You're buying a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And that hole in a wall is going to help you hang up that picture that your wife's wanted, or those curtains that your wife wanted hung up 2 weeks ago. And what we want to do is peel back the layers into what are we really selling? And we are not just selling windows. We are selling clear pricing. We are selling satisfied American-made windows, right?
Yes.
Not just windows, but quality windows. We are not just selling windows, that just switch out. They actually save me money on my utility bills. And so we want to get to the thing behind the thing. And sometimes the thing behind the thing behind the thing.
Yes. They're not buying windows, they're buying lower energy bills.
That's right.
They're not buying windows, they're buying warmer, times on the couch in their own living room.
Yep.
They're not buying windows, they're buying quiet naps because theirs are too loud. They let too much noise through.
Yep.
So the last part is, who are we talking to? What are their needs, pains, hopes, and fears? How do we satisfy them? And then what's the most reasonable next step for action? Okay?
Yeah.
Now this makes it sound like we're going to always do and buy now. And sometimes yes. Sometimes click here to buy now or whatever. But a reasonable next step for action is just like, now that you've brought this pain to the surface, now that they know how you can satisfy it, what makes sense next? And don't throw some cheesy thing on the end just because somebody says, mention your phone number 3 times. Depending on what pain you brought to the window, what pain you brought to the surface. See what I did there?
Yeah, I got you.
You're gonna change your call to action. Now, this could be a call. This could be an email. This could be stop by and see us sometime. This could be, hey, look at the inspiration gallery on our website right now. If you've been thinking about what that would look like in your home, we've got 842 pictures. You can start browsing right now. Could be download our pricing information. It could be apply or fill out this form and get a color sample of our products sent to your house. Schedule an appointment, right? It could be all of those things. With tomorrow marketing, you should always have something like get a price right now, or we make it really easy, or, see more about what we just talked about here. However, the reasonable next step could just be doing it in a way that you're so memorable that they remember you. That could be the reasonable next step.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe your ultimate goal for tomorrow messaging.
Yeah.
So what would that sound like? I just grabbed a Steve and Sarah ad, and this one's on the need of like saving money. And he says, guys, the only thing hotter than the summer sun, and Sarah steps in and says, is the smoke coming out of your bank account. You don't have to sweat in your own home. You need to lock that cool air in. Best Window has state-of-the-art windows that'll make your home beautiful, cost-effective, and cooler than broccoli in the back of the freezer, right? Okay, so there's a whole shtick with this particular campaign and how they do this. But they go, we make it easy to update your home with beautiful replacement windows and doors. Just go to bestwindow.com, enter a few details about your home, and we'll get to work for you. It only takes 30 seconds. bestwindowspringfield.com for beautiful windows that won't break the bank, okay? Now, the big pain there was that money factor, like the pain we talked about. Is it going to cost too much? What is the actual price? But we snuck some other ones in there, right? We talked about your home being more comfortable, and we didn't come out and say, if you're looking for windows, we've got state-of-the-art windows. We didn't do that. We said, hey, are you tired of your utility bills being high, that smoke coming out of your bank account? We make them cost-effective. And then we make it easy. We can start this process in as little as 30 seconds. We'll give you the pricing up front. And so happen to know those ads work really dang well. I mean, we're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on those ads. All the time, right? Every month. So that's an example of like connecting a pain to how we satisfy, and then giving them a reasonable next step. Yeah. Anything to add to that?
I think I would just say you need to make sure when you go to writing that you have highlighted a pain or a hope, need, pain, hope, or fear. Go in order there. That you want to, bring forward. You need to make sure you satisfy it in that ad, and
make it believable.
I think when we do an ad writing workshop, we'll talk about how to craft words a little bit more. That's another part of this, right? When we do this message portion of your marketing plan, we're not worried about things sounding beautiful or perfect right now. I think you should work out ways to say those things in unique ways that only you would say it.
Definitely.
But so come up with what was the smoke coming out of your bank account?
The only thing like that hotter than this summer sun is the smoke coming out of your bank account.
That is a
great, new, surprising, and different way to say that, right?
A great way of saying you're paying a lot of money, you know, and so your wallet hurts.
Here's another one real quick. She says, you want to be more comfy? He says, you want to be more cozy? You want to cut down on your bills? You want to get rid of the chills? Our windows will make your home feel like new. Instead of saying, homeowners, listen up. If you're thinking about replacing windows, Best Window Company is the best one around. And we have a best price guarantee. And our installers have 489 years of combined experience. And, and we'll come to your home and give you estimate right now. And everybody's going, that is everything I don't want. Yes. Right? So you want to come up with different surprising ways to say that, but also make sure they're tied to that actual void that the person
That's right.
is feeling. And
Yeah.
by the way, probably choose second person voice. Talk about you instead of
Yes.
we and I.
Yes.
Anytime you've got an I or a we statement, you want to turn it into a you statement about the customer.
Yeah.
You being the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What have we done here?
We have built a message portion of our annual marketing plan for 2025. So we talked about who are we talking to.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about, and we identified them from every possible angle. You could come up with even more different ones, but put it all on paper. Force yourself to write this out, because you could be like, yeah, I kind of get it. And you move on really fast.
Make them a real person.
That, I promise you, is what happens before a bad ad doesn't make it out of a quality check. At least in these walls, when somebody skips any parts of this process, it's when it gets caught on the way out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we're human. Sometimes we write ads, we have quality checks to make sure. But when somebody new here is writing an ad, they usually skipped one of these steps. They didn't picture the person. They didn't identify their needs, pains, hopes, or fears. That's a big one. Usually we talked about how can my product satisfy? That's usually where people skip to. They're like, yeah, I'm talking to Brandon and he needs a new car. So I'm going to talk to him about a new car.
About a car. My car is the greatest. Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that's my product. I'm going to tell him about my product. Mm-hmm. No, Brandon wants to feel like he can drive a race car every day to work. He wants to drive fast.
How did you know?
Oh man, I just know you. Yeah. So who are you talking to? What are their needs, pains, hopes, and fears? Don't skip that. How can your product satisfy those? Okay. You talk about look at your vision, values, and vows. Those will tell you how you satisfy those.
How do you specifically do it?
And then what's the most reasonable next step for action? Not just a call to action that you slap on the end of your ad. It could be your phone number. It could be your website URL, but it's what is the next step? Is it call us and we'll give you a price over the phone? Or if it's like
right now,
if they're sitting on the couch watching your TV ad, are they going to call you while they're watching a football game on a Sunday night? No, you're not going to answer the phone. What's the most reasonable next step? Put yourself in their shoes, because you just thought about what they're doing. Or they're scrolling Facebook right now and they just looked at an ad. Or they're at the gym and they see an ad on the wall. Whatever that is, you need to think about the mode they're in and what is the most reasonable next step for action based on where they are right now.
Yes.
And I promise you will eliminate a lot of options if you stop and think about that objectively.
If it's Facebook, you can expect them to do something right there. If it's YouTube, you can expect them. If it's a digital ad, you can expect them to click, but you better tell them what's on the other side of that and why it should matter.
That's right.
Not just click here.
Yep.
For more. Nobody wants to click for more information.
Nope.
Yeah. So
tell me what I'm clicking on, why I'm clicking on it.
Did we bring it home?
I think we got it.
So you're going to do, this is the best thing I can tell you is like needs, pains, hopes, fears. There's also all those questions that we can share a worksheet for that you can be asking for your clients, or you can get a copy of the Maven Marketer and they'll be in there for you. So we talked about strategy, message. Now we're going to talk about most people's favorite topic, which is where should I put this ad? Like where should I be spending my money? Next week, we're going to talk a little bit about budget and then allocation of the different medias that you're going to be, able to choose based on your industry or your location. So,
it's going to be fun.
Yep. And then after that, we're going to get to some ad writing workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Not before we take Christmas break for a minute. We're going to all go home and have a lovely Christmas break.
Yes.
We're also starting the year strong with some really cool guest speakers. They're going to help you up your culture, get more done inside your four walls, have better communication with your team, and maybe even your wife. Yeah, that's coming up.
It's a big promise right there.
And then, of course, the Maven Method Mastermind is launching in January. And if you want to spend more time hanging out with us and our team, bringing your ads, bringing your stuff you're working on, your decisions that are facing you in marketing, getting a little more with a little less investment, we're going to have a special group for you. And if you're a podcast listener, what you need to do right now is the first 20 people that sign up for this are going to get 50% off the membership. So,
wow.
Yeah, that is going to be, and that's for life. So, you will be leveraging tens of thousands of dollars of like consulting energy and like the team here that is on the other side of this wall that grows companies by millions and millions of dollars every every year. You're going to have access to them.
Yeah.
And Caleb and I, that's a bonus. Cherry on top. Maybe even Nate, the camera guy. He's busy. He's working 3
You might
jobs
actually
over
see
here,
his face sometime.
You might actually, yeah.
That would be crazy.
And that's what we're going to do. So what you need to do is email and say, I want to be, in the 20.
Yeah.
To Maven Monday at frankandmaven.com. We'll get you put on that list, and there'll be more details very soon about what
How
you
to
need
sign
to do.
up and get it all going. Yeah.
That's what we have for you guys today. We'll be back here every Monday answering your real-life marketing questions, because marketers who can't teach you why
are just a fancy lie.
Have a great week.